former President Donald Trump praised the Secret Service for thwarting an apparent second attempt on his life. In a phone call to Fox News' Sean Hannity on Tuesday night, he had this to say. Let's listen.
In this particular case, you had a very sharp agent, as good as you could find, and did a fantastic job. But somebody could have missed the barrel of that rifle. Somebody of lesser talents or somebody that was distracted could have missed, or could have been shot. I mean, frankly, could have also been shot. But in this case, it was something that worked out very well.
On his golf course at Trump International in West Palm Beach when he heard shots ring out and the Secret Service escorted Trump off the premises very quickly. Trump also praised the Secret Service in the wake of the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, of course, though that incident did end up prompting some criticisms of the agency's practices, given that roof was not secure. Now, tensions are escalating between the Trump team and the Secret Service, no matter what Trump says. The Secret Service is demanding more warning for Trump's golf outings so that tighter security can be provided.
And Republicans are blaming Democrats' rhetoric for the assassination attempts. Trump running mate J.D. Vance blasted Democrats during his speech at the Georgia Faith and Freedom Coalition dinner. Let's watch.
We have a both sides problem. And I'm not going to say we're always perfect. I'm not going to say that conservatives always get things exactly right. But you know the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months, and two people now have tried to kill Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out. Somebody's going to get hurt by it.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer pushed back on the notion that Democrats' rhetoric is fueling tension. Here he is in a presser on Tuesday.
The bottom line is that our Democratic Senate has drawn very clearly the differences between the Republican Party, Donald Trump, and what we believe in. We're going to continue to do that.
Asked if Congress will appropriate more funding for the Secret Service, he said that he would be open to that.
Now, I am not someone who is a fan of rewarding government incompetence with more funding. The government already gets a lot of our money, us hardworking
libertarian core. I understand that.
Yes,
certainly.
Us hardworking taxpayers pay a whole lot for a lot of things, but maybe we could reallocate some funding from, I don't know, what are some agencies that I would shrink their budgets a little bit? Maybe the IRS, maybe the CDC, maybe the State Department, all those kinds of things to make sure the former president gets whatever security he needs to be kept safe, because this is now 2 assassination attempts in as many months. I'm glad that Kamala Harris hasn't faced any assassination attempts. Let's hope it remains that way. But the local sheriff said on TV that, well, Trump's not the current president, he's the former president, so the security isn't as robust. I'm like, well, really? They tried to assassinate him. They just tried again, they being 2 lone, as far as we know, whack job type people. Although this individual has a more interesting or clearly defined political backstory, involvement with Ukrainian mercenary efforts. I think there certainly should be an investigation to find out whether he has any has had conversations. Not ties, not that he was told to do it or something, but whether he has communicated in the past with national security, with intelligence officials, given that he was overseas trying to drum up support for the Ukrainian cause.
Yeah, Robby, not even that, but he also spent a good amount of time on Capitol Hill, too, in interacting with a number of members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats. They all regarded him as, to quote you, as a whack job as part of that, but certainly there's more questions than answers at this point in the process. I hope that, obviously we have the must-pass funding bill on the 30th. You've got some cooler heads in the House and the Senate when it comes to appropriations and Homeland Security. I'm thinking, Senator Susan Collins on the Republican side, others, Tom Carper from Delaware leading that committee. So hopefully, I think they will get to the bottom of this, allocate emergency resources in the short term. Again, we've got 7 weeks to go, and then beyond that. But certainly, there's a lot of taxes on the capabilities of the Secret Service in these final critical 7 weeks.
Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised to learn. I'm sad to learn that it's maybe not the most well-run aspect of the federal government. It's very important to keep our candidates safe, our top political figures, people for whom there's a likelihood that there would be some threat. I don't think the failings here were as shocking and front of center as they were in Butler, Pennsylvania, where there's just absolutely no excuse for not having that roof secured, not counting that roof as within the perimeter. You remember they tried to say, well, that was outside the perimeter. We couldn't have had someone on it because it was a sloped roof. That's what the Secret Service director said before resigning. Well, but you had Secret Service on another sloped roof. The people that shot and killed him quite effectively were on a sloped roof.
Yeah.
And it was not a difficult shot from where he was positioned, and so that should have probably been within the perimeter. So that was totally unsatisfactory. Here, this is a golf course, wide open.
Massive property,
massive property, bushes, trees, ability to hide. Although he was there for 12 hours.
I was going to say, he was there for 12 hours.
And they could see on the cell phone.
Yeah. And the fact that that perimeter wasn't secure. And to your point, I've been heartened that we have seen bipartisan outrage and condemnation with this committee that's come together to investigate the Butler attack, to your point. And hopefully, we always have these debates over rhetoric and stuff like that. I think a lot of this so much is wrapped around people with serious issues, these lone wolves that take it upon themselves to attack public officials. We've seen it against Republicans and Democrats. It's not a both sides issue. But I am heartened that we are hopefully getting more answers that will better prepare the Secret Service to tackle these issues.
Let's talk about rhetoric a little bit, because both sides very opportunistically, when there's violence and you can, tangibly discover the ideology of the person, say the other side caused this because of their rhetoric. This is something Democrats have done to Republicans, media figures have done to Republicans for years and years and years. Right now, in the last 2 months, the shoe is on the other foot, and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are both saying the really strong anti-Trump statements that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have made are inspiring. That, if you say he's Hitler, if you say he's a threat to democracy, if you say he's going to be a dictator, does that not embolden people to want to take stronger action? I don't think it's correct to blame rhetoric, but at the same, but still, there are even some Democrats and media figures saying Trump's own rhetoric is causing the attacks, and he needs to. It seems like a very fraught project.
Yeah, it certainly does. And democracy in its very nature is messy, right? And you campaign hard, right? And sometimes does the language maybe go a step too far? Potentially. But again, I think I come back to the fact that so many of these lone wolf actors are listening to their own voices in their own heads to dictate a lot of this stuff, and aren't laying at the feet of a member of Congress, or in this case a presidential candidate.
All right, we'll be back with more Rising right after this. Stick with us.